Welcome to Haunt Weekly.
Hello everyone, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this is Haunt Weekly, a weekly podcast for the haunted attraction and haunted entertainment industry. Whether you're an actor, owner, or just plain aficionado, we aim to be a podcast for you. And this episode is going to be a little bit different.
Yeah.
It's a special episode in a weird way. Maybe not like super special, but special-ish. And that we are actually going to be going through an old edition of Haunted Attraction magazine and talking about how the haunt industry has changed and not changed.
Right.
Mostly not changed in the past 7 years. So this is going to be an interesting one. But before we kick into that, we have to do our conference reminders. And here's the funny thing. You're going to hear a lot of these names again later in the episode.
Right.
So, Crystal, I believe it is your turn.
Okay. So, coming up very quickly in 4 days, Midwest Haunters Convention, June 8th through 11th. I guess it'll be 3 when this goes live,
yes,
actually.
indeed.
So it's going to be at the Greater Columbus Center in Columbus, Ohio, touring the Scaratorium, Scare Factor, Dead Acres, Haunted Hoochie, and hosting a late-night monster beach party. A lot of those are at the same time on the same day, so pick your poison carefully. MidwestHauntersConvention.com for more info.
After that, July 29th and 30th, it is Midsummer Scream in Long Beach, California. The Long Beach Convention Center, put on by the people behind Creepy LA and Theme Park Adventure. Learn more at midsummerscream.org.
Then, August 5th through the 6th, we have Scare LA, Los Angeles Convention Center at the West Halls. There'll be over 200 vendors and many panels on the haunted attraction business. ScareLA.com for more on that.
After that, August 25th through 27th, just before and just after my birthday. There's no conferences on my birthday this year. I'm sad.
Oh.
But in Dallas, Fort Worth, at the Mesquite Convention Center, it is Halloween and Haunt Fest show. HalloweenandHaunt.com. So, yes, that is the... Oh, sorry?
And if anyone is going to Midwest Haunters Convention, say hello to all the lovely people that you've heard come on the show.
Yes, everybody. Half the people that have been on the show.
There's been a lot of people that are going to be there, and we're missing them. We have family coming to town, but maybe next year.
Yeah. Conferences are always tough for us.
Yeah.
I mean, just in general, but yeah, this one falls at like probably the worst time possible.
Well,
second worst.
With different planning, it would have been okay,
yeah.
but we do have someone coming from Boston, so.
Yes. Boston, meh.
Anyway.
I might have listened to Car Talk on NPR earlier today.
Oh, well, you know.
I was in the car. But no, okay. So this episode is, like I said, a little bit weird.
Yeah.
And it came about as an idea because we were doing some cleaning. Well, specifically, Crystal was doing some cleaning. I was supervising said cleaning, very thorough.
I think you were in your office doing other work.
I probably was, and that's the honest truth. I was probably doing something else. But she was doing some cleaning. And, well, once upon a time, before the first time they went to digital-only printing, my understanding is they went back and did some print issues, and then I don't know where they are now. But long story short, we were subscribers to Haunted Attraction magazine.
Yes.
We have probably about a dozen issues somewhere.
Yes, that's accurate.
But we cannot find them.
No, this is the first one I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. I cannot find them. We cannot find them. We have no idea where they are. This is a house that gets countless magazines.
Yeah. Now, I do know where the, it was like 2007 or 2008 industry-wide directory is.
Oh, yeah.
I know where that is.
Yeah, that was just it. We were subscribers from like 2006 on into 2010.
Yeah.
I think this is one of the last issues we got, actually.
Yeah, because we were wondering where they went.
Yeah. They just stopped coming one day. Then I found out they went to digital only.
Yeah.
But anyways, we found it. She found it once again. And it is Haunted Attraction Magazine, issue number 53. Now, it does not have a month anywhere in it. I have searched it cover to cover. But I know it is from the first quarter of 2010 because, as you'll hear in a minute, or in probably about an hour, it has ads for Trans World for that year, which was in March. So it had to be before March of that year to be January or February of that year. So about 7.5 years ago is when this came out. The feature piece in this, as far as I'm concerned, was the Grand Haunt Tour of 2009, and that's where we'll start in a minute.
Yeah.
But they also had a visit to the ScareHouse near Pittsburgh. And they also had a lot of very interesting advertisements and some other supplemental articles, too. And so what we've done is something we didn't do when we first got the damn magazine, I believe. We've read it cover to cover.
Yeah.
Looked and examined every ad. And I don't know, we wanted just to spend the hour talking about this weird snapshot of haunted attraction history. Recent history, but history nonetheless.
Yeah.
And it's a very interesting perspective into what was going on in the industry a little bit over 7 years ago. In fact, this was just after. This was reporting on the 2009 season. So in a way, you can think of it about being 8 years ago in that regards. Because it was the Grand Haunt Tour of 2009. And to be fair, it really was a damn Grand Haunt Tour. I got to give them that much.
Yeah, I'm jealous.
I'm silly jelly.
I would love to do this.
This is like my dream. What he did. In fact, you want to just kick and talk about the Grand Haunt Tour?
Well, let's do it.
Already, okay, this was written by John Kennedy. I'm assuming not the one that was assassinated.
Yes. I think that is a safe assumption.
A safe assumption. Okay. Phew. But anyways, he traveled over 17,000 miles and went to over 200 haunts during the 2009 season.
Yeah.
And like I said, literally, this is my fantasy to do this 1 year. To have enough money and not be worrying about my haunt and just do exactly this.
Right.
I don't think it will ever happen. It's a pipe dream. But if anyone wants to pay me to do it, to write an article about it, I will. I'm down.
Hey, don't forget me. You're not going without me.
I need a photographer.
Of course.
I'm not a photographer. Do I look like a photographer?
Yes. And I actually specialize in low light, so there.
Yeah, there you go. So, yeah. Bring the low f-stop lens and get on the plane, get in the bus. All right, but he didn't talk a lot about the specific haunts he went to.
Yeah.
It was sort of an attempt to break down the entirety of the season, if you will.
Right.
Sort of examine and make some key observations about it. In fact, he just sort of rambled off 7 different observations. And I think they're worth going over one by one.
Well, let's do it.
So let's say, number 1. Haunted houses all around the country are producing great events. He overall had high praise for pretty much every haunt, it seemed.
Yeah.
He seemed to enjoy... He did not find any weakness.
And even though we don't go to 200, we do go to quite a few haunts. And I'd have to say that with the exception of a couple really bad experiences, everybody does put on a good show.
Yeah, that's just it. I can probably count the truly god-awful experiences. And this is after going to over a dozen haunts every year for the past 10 years or so.
Yeah.
So it's over 120 different haunt visits.
Yeah.
Obviously, many of them the same haunt, but still, I can count our truly god-awful experiences on one hand.
Yeah.
I think that's reasonable. And those haunts, by the way, for the most part, aren't around.
Yeah.
They were penalized for it, apparently, by, people voting with their dollar.
Yeah.
And I count the safety issues. I count the really not finished haunt we went to once.
Yeah, that was the worst.
That was from just pure haunt experience. That was the worst experience.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, I agree with him. We've only had 5 truly god awful, dear Jesus, why did I give these people money experiences?
Right.
Basically, so yeah, I haven't really felt ripped off that many times. I agree with that point completely.
Yep.
Number 2. The gap between elite haunts and others is wide when it comes to marketing, but there's not much of a gap in quality or the value of their shows.
Yeah.
I'm more mixed on that one in my admittedly more limited experience, but...
Well, so I enjoy the smaller and the charity haunts as much as the big ones, but I enjoy them for different reasons.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's necessarily a quality value.
Fair enough.
I think it's just a different experience.
It's like the difference between a horror blockbuster versus a low-budget horror film.
Right.
Both can be very scary, both can be very effective.
And very enjoyable.
And very enjoyable, but they're very different experiences.
They are.
And you have to be in a different mindset for them. The Blair Witch Project is one of the most successful films of all time in terms of return on investment.
Right.
But it's a very different experience than, say, any of the Friday the 13th films.
Yeah, it is.
It's a very, very... You can't even really compare the two. And I feel that way in that regard. I will agree with him, though, that the broadest gap is marketing.
Yeah.
That does seem to be something I have noticed that smaller and charity haunts, every dollar they have seems to go into the haunt.
Right.
Or into the building, or into whatever. And as a result, they don't have a lot left over for marketing. They have to do more guerrilla marketing, word of mouth, social media, where the bigger haunts, they've got all this, they've got a very dedicated marketing budget. They're running radio spots, TV spots. They're
taking billboards.
Yeah, billboards, blasting out the Facebook campaigns.
Yeah.
They're doing all that crazy stuff.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, I agree with him, the gap is bigger there, but I also don't think that the quality and the value is necessarily the same. I don't want to say, God, it's such a weird thing. And it comes through a little better when he does the full thing about it.
Right.
But, yeah, I don't know. I think he might be misrepresenting slightly the differences there.
Okay.
Number three. Okay. Kids Next Door joke for anyone that happens to be in the know. Older haunts are growing tired and stale. I agree.
Yeah.
I'm going to go on a limb and agree. And I will say this, because like the biggest complaint we had about locally about the House of Shock.
Right.
Up until like the last couple of seasons.
Yeah.
Was the "we seen it" argument.
Yeah.
We would go through the haunt every year and try to pick out what was new, and usually fail.
Yeah.
Completely, utterly bonkers fail. And that's not good. It felt like the same experience. In fact, our reviews, when we're doing the Garbator reviews of it, were things like, hey, we love it. It's a great experience. If you've never been, go. What are you waiting for? Go now. If you went last year, make a judgment call.
Yeah.
And you feel like paying for the same show.
Yeah.
But I will say they actually have done better in recent years, which I think is great.
And it looks like they're doing another big change this year, so I'm looking forward to it.
I think one of the things they've done is they seem to have a full-time team working on it more throughout the year than they had previously, and that's great news.
Yeah.
I'm truly excited about that. Because we've seen with the 13th Gate what you can do with that type of a team.
Right.
So, yeah, I'm super excited about that, and but yeah, I would agree with that.
It's a trap that a lot of haunts fall into, because I built this, and people love it, and I love it, and everybody loves it, and they love it for 20 years, 30 years? No.
And the other problem with it is, you became successful because of this.
Right.
You made your money and your reputation on this. You invested in it, and now you're going to roll the dice with something new?
Yeah.
That's scary as all hell.
It is scary.
So I get that.
It's a thing of gains versus rewards.
Yeah, and that's just it. The gains are not immediately evident, but the risks sure as hell are immediately evident.
Yeah. We've been talking a lot this weekend about risk
versus reward. Yes, we have. It's been a weird theme in our private lives this past week. It's an unrelated issue, though.
Yeah.
Item 4. Number 4. 4! Won't be the last Rocky Horror joke we make.
No.
Haunted houses around the country are very similar, though we did say differences across regions. Southern haunts are different than northern haunts, for example, but all southern haunts were very similar.
Right.
I can't really answer that because we've only really been to haunts in the region. I think the furthest afield we've gone is St. Louis.
Yes.
I still consider St. Louis fairly southern in terms of the style of haunting.
Yeah, it seemed familiar.
It seemed very familiar. It did not seem totally alien to me.
No.
It might be more Midwest, admittedly, but it felt to me very similar. I'll also agree with this point for the most part. Because it does seem like every haunted attraction we go to has certain set pieces.
Yeah.
They have their own bathroom scene.
Yeah.
They have the kitchen scene, the voodoo scene here in Louisiana. Oh my God, is there like a legal requirement for haunted houses to have voodoo sequences in New Orleans?
Oh, yeah. And that one prop that's just so culturally inappropriate. Like, gosh. Please get rid of it.
Yeah. Just, we're not going to go into that.
No.
We'll sidetrack this whole episode. We're already almost 15 minutes in.
Yeah.
But yeah, I kind of agree with that one.
Yeah.
And in the region, there seem to be certain set pieces that are the same. Right. But that being said, I do also see lots of differences in style. And a lot of times it comes across in ways that aren't necessarily in the build or even in the... It's weird to think of it that way, but the energy and the flow of a haunt is very different a lot of times.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And I know that whenever we went to HauntCon in Alabama, the haunt there that we visited felt very different. It was, what was the name of it? It was at the Asylum Schoolhouse.
Yeah.
But it felt different, and they had some scares that we don't see locally. But whenever we went to one that was similar geographically, we saw a couple of the same things. So that was interesting.
Yeah. It's very, very bizarre to go to haunts in the region and see things that are eerily familiar.
Right.
And, you know, we can go on and on and on about what some of those things are.
We'll put it in the show notes what it was. We'll figure it out.
I'm trying to look it up. The exact one. It's been a long weekend, guys. You're going to have to bear with us a little bit.
Yeah.
It has been ridiculous, and it's no one's fault but everyone else's.
Yes. Everyone else's.
We had nothing to do with it being... For once in my life, I can genuinely say that.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Anyways, item number 5. Actors versus props and technology. Actors are the single most important aspect of a haunted house, period. Yeah, I think that's almost pitifully obvious.
Yeah.
I think I need to bring a soundboard in here with some of Japes' sayings on it and just mash some random Japes buttons here. So just imagine Japes is yelling things into your ear about actors and haunts, and just fill the next, pretend that the next 5 minutes and you're good.
Yeah, it's definitely, we're actor heavy. We believe in actors a lot more than any prop that you can put in or mechanical device, because actors are unpredictable.
Actors are unpredictable, and things go wrong with props. Props break. Props wear down. Props get old.
Yeah.
Props get stale. Props get mistimed. Props have issues.
Yeah.
I mean, I get that, and actors have problems too.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you can't beat a human at scaring another human. No. Item number 6. Buffalo, New York was the best haunt town in 2009. I have nothing to offer on that one.
Nope, no idea.
I've never been to Buffalo, New York in my life, though I do know that Buffalo. Whatever, how many times do I say Buffalo to make it a complete sentence? I
have no idea.
But you can make a complete sentence with just the word Buffalo.
Right.
That is true.
Yes.
And this is a funny one. Item number 7. The Best Actor Award goes to... And then he forgets the character's name. It says the clown at ScareHouse.
Yeah.
Now, it's interesting because we're going to be talking about ScareHouse next. And because basically the other major piece in this magazine was about the ScareHouse in Etna, Pennsylvania. Which I'm trying to make sure I had the right city it was near.
And the haunt I was
trying
to remember
Pittsburgh,
was Insanitarium.
Oh, the Insanitarium, that's right.
Yes.
And yes, it is near in Pittsburgh. I almost said Philadelphia for some reason, and then I realized, oh no, now I'm self-doubting. No, I was right. I'm always right.
You had it in front of you when you wrote this.
Shut up, no one asked you. But yes, ScareHouse in Etna, Pennsylvania. It was an article by Mike Watt. For the record, haunt is still very much alive and going on.
Yeah.
It's very, very active. We've actually heard about it a few times on the show.
We have, and it makes a lot of the top haunts in America list.
Yes, it does. So. But yes, and the funny thing about it is, and the reason I mentioned forgetting the clown name, because this article actually has the character name in it.
Yes.
It was Creepo the Clown, for anyone playing along at home. So if, John Kennedy had just talked to Mike Watt...
Yes, or if the editor of the magazine
hey, wait a minute. Leonard, looking at you.
Yeah.
But yes, the haunt is still there. The character name from the previous article is Creepo the Clown. And the article really does a good breakdown of how the haunt has succeeded.
Right.
And it's a very, very interesting breakdown. It's an article that's just well worth reading in full. We can do our best to summarize it, and we will. But it really is worth reading in full. Yeah. Basically, the article focuses on first is the quality of actors and characters. Mm-hmm. Talks about great length about how it has the best actors working, it hires the best, employs the best, and it puts them in engaging and interactive characters. it focuses on giving these actors things to do rather than just going, boo!
Well, yeah.
Which, of course, Japes immediately cringed.
Yes.
But anyways, it also focuses on and this is something else we mentioned previously, their willingness to experiment and being willing to take those risks and acknowledging that sometimes those risks don't work out.
Right.
And we actually discuss one a little bit later down. And part of that willingness to experiment is they did something that was new in the region, was they paid and hired professional actors.
Which is interesting, because not a lot of haunts do that even today.
Yeah. Yeah, this was 2010 to the 2009 season. They were doing it. And they used professional actors. And they try to get ones with theatrical experience as best as possible. But at the very least, a good amount of haunt experience.
Right. And
by hiring professional actors, they step back and they give those actors a great deal of leeway. The attitude being basically, hey, we're paying you. You come up with this crap. Come up with it.
Yes.
You figure out how it works.
Here's a room to play in. Find a character that you like to play in
and make it work. They also talked about a couple of the new rooms, new houses rather they're doing. First was their 3D house, and this one sounded so cool.
Yeah.
It was called Delirium. And basically what it is, they took a character from the haunt named Tracy, a female character, and they based the entire 3D haunt on the goings-on inside her brain.
Yeah.
That is such a cool concept. I just want to throw that one out right now. That is so cool. And they talk in this article about how it's everyone's new favorite attraction. Everyone loves it. They're not changing it. They're not going to close it. And then it closed in 2011.
Yeah.
it ain't there no more, as we say in New Orleans.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's rough.
Yeah.
And one of the things, this article was a little frustrating from an outline standpoint because it kept going back and forth. It talked about the delirium, and then it talked about how they tried to build scares. And this was something that I thought was very useful because they would find that scares, even though they set up a perfect distract and startle, the scare didn't work. And the reason was they weren't building any suspense into it.
Right.
There was no build-up into it. And so they started focusing on breaks and suspense periods combined with the scares. And that seemed to work much better for them. And then they went into talking about the other new haunt they have as an example of this, which was Rampage with an exclamation point.
Yes.
This was a steampunk-based haunted attraction. And according to them, the last room didn't work. Basically, they had this huge vision. They had this Michael Bay-esque vision here of a last room. It was just ginormous, bigly even.
God.
But it was going to simulate a giant battle, and you were supposed to feel like you were moving through this battlefield.
Okay.
And you had all these actors running around, and big sets, and big props, and all this stuff, and everyone got confused.
Yeah.
It just didn't connect with the people going through it. No one understood it. And long story short, it closed the next year. My understanding is it actually didn't reopen the 2010 season.
Yeah.
So,
And sometimes you take a risk like that and it falls flat on its face because what you think is obvious isn't.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing about it is this, we've made, and I'm going to say this now, this is something that's contradicting a lot of what I've said in the past. We've made fun of the mortuary for its 7 deadly sins year.
Yeah.
That was a terrible year for them.
Yes.
It was god-awful, it was too complicated, it was too confusing, no one understood it, but good goddamn if it wasn't an experiment and a bold one.
Yeah.
You've got to give them that.
Yeah. Well, and it is, they do try new things often.
Yes.
They rebuild every year.
Yeah,
so
well, that's one of the advantages of a knockdown haunt, is it kind of forces you to try new things.
Exactly. You can't just rely on the old standby.
Yeah. It does get a little bit too easy sometimes. If you don't have a knockdown haunt, they go, haunt's done!
Yeah. Looking at our... thinking, how many years have we had this layout? Do we really need to change it?
We've had the same layout, but we've touched every panel pretty much every year.
Oh, yeah. No, I know that.
So at the same time...
And we've only realistically had that layout for 2 or 3.
And actually, we did change the layout last year. We switched to more prop-based.
Yeah.
Kept the same walkthrough, but used prop-based layout to expand some of the rooms.
Yeah.
And it worked amazingly well.
Oh, yeah.
For the record, I'm really happy with that.
Uh-huh.
All right, those were the 2 feature articles. If you look at the cover of it, Those were the 2 articles featured on the cover. But there were some supplemental articles too. There were 3, and we're just going to go through these sort of quickly. Mm-hmm. The first one was actually probably my favorite article in the entire damn magazine.
Yeah.
It's by Tyler Barrett. It was called Hard Knocks, and it's all about opening a first-time haunt. Mm-hmm. And basically, he says the hardest part was finding actors, followed by building and fire code issues. And by the way, he said the way he found most of his actors, I found this interesting, was just a help wanted ad on Craigslist.
That's what I see for the local haunts here.
Yeah, so apparently it really works. Something to keep in mind. He had problems with building and fire codes. They had made him rip out the entire sprinkler system.
All of this sounds really familiar.
Doesn't it? Doesn't it, though?
It sounds like every haunt I've ever heard.
And he had a good suggestion. If you're leasing your place and you have to make these kind of major improvements, ask for a lower lease because you're making improvements to the property. Right. Try to claw some of that money back. Mm-hmm. And I did not actually thought of that. Good idea.
Yeah.
It never hurts to ask.
Yeah, because if they aren't willing to make the changes to make it fire code compliant,
for you,
then you're upgrading it.
And he also provided some really cool marketing and advertising tips. Most of it's still pretty relevant today, and that's just it. It's like if this article had been written in 2017 about the 2016 season,
right,
about a haunt that had just started last year, you could pretty much write it word for word, plagiarize the whole damn thing, and it'd be just as relevant.
Yeah, don't plagiarize.
Please don't plagiarize. I'll have to come for you. It's literally my day job.
Yeah.
But you could literally hand this to someone in 2017, and it'd be almost exactly perfectly written.
Yeah.
So I found that amazing, and it's a very, very good article, very, very relevant.
Right.
Up next, and dear God, I didn't actually think to look up the pronunciation of this.
Good luck.
Povlagia? Povlagia?
I have no idea.
Anyways, basically this is an article by Jason Sosha about an island near Venice, Italy. Basically, when Italy was struck by the Black Plague, they needed a place to dispose of the corpses. Says, hey, that island off the coast there looks really cool. So they threw the bodies there and burned them there. And then they decided to stick a mental hospital there.
Yeah.
Then there was something about a mad doctor. I really didn't fully understand that. But a mad doctor, and you can't go visiting there today.
All right.
So, but it was a very interesting piece about the lore of this island. It had some cool photos of the plague masks and all that.
Yeah.
In the article. It's very, very interesting piece. Not really about haunted attractions in any way, just an interesting little bit of lore, maybe something to incorporate into a story.
Yeah.
I mean, we could use it. I mean, plagues hit New Orleans all the time. They took the bodies to Algiers to burn them. Right across the, you could see that.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's ways to play on this, but it was a very interesting story and not one I was familiar with prior to reading this. And finally, this was just a little one-page article called Mask and Realism. It's by Alex James. It's by Composite Effects, a prosthetics company. It's a really short article, like I said, doesn't have a lot to say, just talks about their mask-making philosophy, how they do it, about how much they love haunting, that type of stuff.
Yes.
It's a very, very standard company profile, though it does look like an awesome company.
It's still around?
Yes. In fact, they actually have an ad in here, too.
All right. So let's get to the ads.
Which, hey, that brings us to the next portion of tonight's festivities.
Yes.
The advertisements. And there were... Now, I'm not counting, for the record, ads for the magazine or its sister publication.
Right. Yeah.
That seems kind of bold.
Yeah.
So, but we're looking at the ads for other products and services, including those owned by Leonard Pickle, who, of course, was responsible for this magazine.
Yes.
He's going to advertise his own products, right?
Yeah.
But yes, so we're going to literally go from this front cover to back cover, discussing each ad in brief, and just some general thoughts. The very first ad on the inside cover is a 2-page spread. It is Foggy's Fog. If that name isn't familiar to you,
yes,
you haven't been to a haunted attraction convention
anywhere.
Those pages stick together, Crystal.
Yes.
I don't know why. Probably from wherever it was in storage. But yes, it's a 2-page spread, and it's actually advertising it's Foggy's Flakes. It's artificial. Froggy's Fog. It's Froggy's Flakes. Dear God, that sounds like a cereal. Now that I say it out loud, they're great.
Well, their little froggy mascot looks like a little cartoon character.
Yes, it does.
Too, so.
Froggy Flakes, they're great. Anyways,
yep.
But yes,
it's the competitor to Honey Smacks.
God dang it. They are. They make fog scents and apparently flakes too. They're definitely still around. They sponsor on a high tier pretty much every conference I can think of. They're got a booth everywhere you go.
Oh, yeah.
I've
got a couple of lanyards from them.
Yeah, basically, long story short, if you've ever been to a conference, you know they're still around. There's no question there. The next page, next ad, was Jack Prints.
Yes.
This is a full-page ad. It is a printer offering specialized services for haunted attractions.
Yeah.
Now, here's the thing. They are not only still around, the company is, they're still offering the same specialized services for haunts, and they're still offering the same damn deal.
Yes. Which is awesome.
They advertise in the publication 5,000 full-color, two-sided 4x6 flyers for $100.
Yeah.
You go to their site, 5,000 4x6 full-color, two-sided flyers is $100. Actually, it's $99. So it's even $1, like 1% better deal.
Wow.
Yeah, they knocked the dollar off because reasons. But no, that was really, really cool. Make that discovery. Then you have a half-page deal for spookbuttons.com. They make buttons, not anymore.
No.
They ain't there no more. And below them is haunthunter.com, another attempt at a haunt directory. They ain't there no more either. And it's interesting because the ad mentions that they're coming that year, fall.
Right.
And I don't know if they ever actually launched. I could not find... I did not check the Internet Archive. I didn't think to check it because I only realized they were promising their eventual launch right before we went on air. But yeah, they're definitely not there no more. HauntHunter.com is dead. Maybe it's available. I hadn't looked that out. The Haunt Hunter sounds like you're going around shooting haunts.
Well, or like a headhunter for a big company. You're going around stealing actors and build people from other haunts.
Anyways, the next ad is also the biggest ad. It is a 4-page spread for Transworld's 2010 show.
Yeah. 15th annual.
Yeah, the 15th one. And obviously, Transworld, or the Halloween and Attraction Show, is a very, very big conference. The biggest, I would say the biggest, very, very much still around. Just happened not that long ago for this year. But I did like it because one thing that we might go over if we have a little extra time is it has a rundown of all the classes and sessions that were happening at that year's conference.
Right. And it's all stuff that's still relevant.
Yeah, and that's just it. It was like crazy how pretty much any one of those you could go to. The only thing missing, and we're going to come back to this exact topic, is Transworld has recently moved to doing a lot of escape room stuff.
Right.
There's nothing about escape rooms in there. But, it's obvious that they were a big conference then and a big conference now. Nothing's changed. Okay, after that, we have Leonard Pickle's design and consulting firm. One of 2 ads Leonard Pickle has for his own products.
Right.
It's Haunt and Design Consulting. Yes, it's still around. He's still doing it. I don't think he's ever going to quit.
No.
So basically, yes. And also Leonard is the editor of the publication, as I mentioned. Opposite of that, another full-page ad is Composite Effects. Now, they were the subject of the piece earlier. Right. They are a set of prosthetics and mask maker. They are still around, still churning out high-quality masks. And then next is Cinematic Visions. They are a design studio for haunts. They do online print and video. They specialize in these holistic packages for haunted attractions. Cinematic Visions, again, they're still around. And interesting fact, I did not know this. They did the flyers for the mortuary locally.
Yes. And
they did the Dent Schoolhouse flyers. So
that's
some
pretty cool.
Very, very big names. So yeah, they've worked with some very, very large companies. And also it's very interesting because they do online print, photography, and video. They do everything when it comes to marketing and promotion of a haunt. So, pretty cool. Then you have nightfrights.net. They're a prop maker. They're still around. Not much to add. They make mechanical props. Then you have
seance table was the big thing being advertised here.
Yeah. Then you have, after that, Westland Insurance Services. They offer their full-page ad. They offer insurance. Now, here's the thing. They have, since this ad, been purchased by another company, and they are not promoting haunt services on their new site. So I'm counting that as a dead, even though I can't confirm they will not actually insure a haunt.
Right.
It's fairly dead to me. Up next, you have Bloody Mary Cosmetics. They do makeup and cosmetics. They're still around, and they've also moved into doing margarita mixes.
Actually, you missed Nightmare Needlework.
Oh, Nightmare Needle. Oh, I'm sorry. You're right. NightmareNeedlework.com, full page. They offered embroidery services, t-shirts, buttons, and jazz. Don't worry, they're not there anymore. I didn't miss them. They're just not there.
In fact, they have an embroidered Bloody Mary on their little samples.
Well, Bloody Mary Cosmetics, like I said, they do makeup and cosmetics. They're still around, and they're moving into Bloody Mary mixes.
Right.
Too, which I guess makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay, after that, HauntCon, full page ad, still around. Conference every year, usually somewhere in the southeast or south Midwest areas.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Realm of Darkness Haunted House Auction. It's a full page. This is basically a haunted house moved, wanted to auction a lot of its old stuff off. One-time deal, neither alive nor dead.
Yeah.
It doesn't really count.
No.
It's not an ongoing business. Then you have Skeletons and More, possibly my favorite business name.
Yes.
Skeletons and More. That's like is that in the Beyond section of Bed Bath & Beyond? The skeleton section?
I think so. I think I've seen that there. You know, skeletons, caskets, that kind of thing.
But anyways, they offer skeletons and skeleton-themed props, basically.
Right.
Skeleton chandeliers,
The chandelier looks awesome.
skeleton thrones, which look less awesome.
Yeah, well.
But they're still around. They're still doing their thing.
Mm-hmm.
Then you have the Midwest Haunters Convention. They took out a half-page ad. Once again, it's a conference. It's coming up soon. Still around. Oh, yeah, they're the ones coming up in a few days.
Yes.
So, yes, Midwest Haunters Convention. We saw your ad in this publication. There you go. Then you have, this one was a weird one, Hallows Eve Volume 1 and 2. It's haunted attraction music. And it's the company behind it is still around and still doing Halloween-themed music. Their site, though, will probably give you some kind of horrible disease. It is. The ad is like...
Is it as good as their ad?
It's worse than their ad. It's significantly worse. Their ad is like less than mediocre. Their site is actively terrible.
Gotcha.
Then you have the National Haunters Convention, which has a very weirdly sexy ad. It's kind of creepy, actually.
Yeah.
If you'd not had the text around that ad, I might have assumed it was an ad for a softcore porn video or something.
I could see that. Yeah, that would work for
that. But it is a conference, or was a conference. It's kind of hard to say because they haven't had it in the past few years. You haven't heard it in our conference list,
right?
They haven't been around for the past few years, but they are currently planning a May 2019 show.
Right.
That's 2 years from now for those playing along at home. So, in my book, they're dead until they put on the next show, and then we'll go back and change the score.
Yeah.
How's that?
That sounds perfectly fair.
Then we have our last two ads. You have a full page for findahaunt.com, haunt location service. They are still around. In fact, we used them when we were visiting St. Louis. Mm-hmm. And then you have hauntedhouse.com, another haunt location service, obviously still around. Now, I find it weird that we saw all these haunt location service ads in Haunted Attraction magazine. I understand they're trying to appeal to haunts for to get them to buy the premium spots on those sites. Right. But it still is kind of weird.
Yeah, because they have their own.
Yeah, and
they promote.
Yeah, and they never really, in none of those ads, really promoted their premium account. It's always, Haunt Finder, hauntedhouse.com. And it's like, okay, why do I care that there's a Haunt Finder?
Right.
So yeah, we got about 10 minutes or so left in this show. So, real quick, the ad wrap up the totals here. All total, there were 21 adverts. Mm-hmm. 15 of the companies are still alive and kicking.
Right.
5 are dead, or at least have been moved out of the industry, or haven't done anything in a long time. 4 of the ads were for conferences, which I found interesting. Otherwise, there was a ton of variety. It was prop makers, it was makeup artists, it was consultants.
Right.
It was everything. Actually, I skipped another one, didn't I? Yes, I did. I skipped entrepreneurs.
Oh.
I'm sorry, Entrepreneurs came after Hallows Eve Volume 1 and 2. They had a 2-page spread about used haunts for sale. Once again, Leonard Pickle. Still around. Not going anywhere. But yeah, sorry. I just realized, I'm like, wait a minute, I didn't discuss the Entrepreneurs one. Because I remember that one. Every time I see one of those ads, I think to myself, man, if I could scrounge up, X amount of dollars and find a way to get the haunt here, because a lot of the haunts they sell are trailer haunts, truck haunts.
Yeah. That
you can just get delivered elsewhere, fix it up, and reopen it. It'd be fun. It'd be a fun challenge.
It would be fun.
But anyway, so yeah. Ad wrap up for me. The main thing I noticed was that all of the ads were very generic.
Yeah.
They all looked pretty much alike. The only exception was Froggy's Fog.
Yeah.
Which, of course, was advertising their snow. So they had a beautiful snow-covered field in the middle of on the inside cover of a haunted attraction magazine.
Right.
It was a bit weird, a bit incongruent, if you will. But it was a beautiful ad, well done. And it definitely stood out more because of it. But all the other ads, it's the same deal. It's the blood effects. It's the scary fonts. It all looked about the same to me. Mm-hmm. My favorite, personally, was the jackprince.com ad. That's a weird one to like, but the reason is quite simply they were the only one to actually offer a price and have a clear, decisive call to action.
Right.
You've got to realize, people, my degree is in advertising.
Yeah.
That is what I went to school for. I'm an advertiser and marketer above all else in many ways.
Yeah.
And so, seeing all these ads, most of which did not have clear calls to action.
Mm-hmm.
No.
This is what we are.
This is what we are. This is our website, or this is our phone number, or whatever.
Please visit us at da-da-da-da-da.
Or not even like, a specific product at a specific price.
Right.
Nothing specific, no details. This one provided a very specific deal. Like I said, 5,000 4x6 flyers, full color, $100.
Yeah.
That deal's still around.
Yeah.
And I read that ad, and my first thought was, holy crap, I need to check out and see if that deal's still available. That's better than what I'm currently getting on flyers.
Right.
And guess what? It's still going on. So that ad actually sold me 7 years after the fact.
Yeah.
It actually sold me.
So, yeah, I would call that a win for an ad. Mm-hmm. If it's still selling itself.
So 7 years after the fact, yes, that is the best ad. I'm sorry.
Effective.
It's the most effective ad for damn sure. Mm-hmm. My least favorite was the Bloody Mary ad.
Let there be lips.
It was nothing but a giant pair of lips.
There's a little bit of blood.
Freeze those lips. Freeze those lips. Crucify the lips. Crucify the lips.
Yes, exactly.
Oh my god. I need Rocky Horror in my life. I need to do Rocky Horror sometime soon. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it was crazy, and it didn't say anything about what they did other than Bloody Mary Cosmetics and a website.
Yeah. Well, they have cosmetics, but that's it.
But they didn't show any of their products, any of their work.
Yeah.
And it was a full-page ad.
Yeah.
I think they could have saved some money and bought a half-page ad at least.
Yeah.
You have that little message.
Yeah.
It's just, that was not a good ad. I have not checked to see if they've gone on to do other ads. Did you have a particular favorite or least favorite, Crystal? You just went through it again as we were going through the countdown.
No, not particularly.
Okay, yeah, you're not the ad.
I thought that the masks were interesting.
Yes, the mask one.
And I did like skeletons and more showing samples.
Yes, they did a good job showing the samples.
They did not, have a call to action or prices.
Yeah. I will say this, though. I mean, the ads were at least well targeted. They targeted the industry very, very well. And
actually, the composite effects mask did have a call to action.
Oh, really?
It said, come see these and more at Transworld.
Okay, fair enough. And gave
the booth number.
Okay, fair enough. I still have no idea the approximate prices of anything.
Yeah, you don't want to know because I've looked.
If you have to ask.
It's not in our budget.
If you have to ask, you don't want to know.
Exactly.
All right, that's fair enough. Fair enough. So, what did we learn from all this? Well, I gotta say, if you had handed me this magazine today, for the most part, it would have been just as relevant today as it was 7 years ago.
Yeah.
And kind of creepily so, in a way.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's obvious our industry faces many of the same challenges and issues in 2017 as it did 2010.
Right.
I think the only thing missing from the magazine on like a large scale was any conversation about escape rooms.
Yeah. And
there was no mention about, like, other seasonal events you can do, which is another trend we're seeing now.
Right.
Basically, haunts are now figuring out that, hey, there's 10 months out of the year we're not doing anything. Let's try doing something with that time.
Yeah.
And they're trying to open up new weeks. They're trying to open escape rooms. They're trying to turn some profit those other 10 months.
Yeah.
And that's a good thing, I think. But, yeah, that is about the only thing missing. All the references about, the challenges you face opening a haunt in particular.
Right.
The observations about the haunted attractions, I think, are still pretty relevant. Like I said, if you handed this to me today and scratched off the date, which wouldn't have been that hard because it's actually not on the cover. And just as issue number 53, your guess is as good as mine until you open it.
Yeah, that's very true.
When it was released. The only indication is it does say the Grand Haunt Tour 2009. It does give you that. But, yeah, if they changed the name of that article just the Grand Haunt Tour, I'd have had not a clue. Mm-hmm. Obviously, though, we are a fairly dependable industry to build a business off of.
Right.
Because think about it. Like I said, of the 21 companies that advertised in there, 15 are alive. 1 was a one-shot deal.
Yeah.
And only 5 have either left and only 3 are actually truly dead.
Yeah.
The other 2 seem to have left the industry. Well, 4 are dead. 1 has just kind of left the industry and moved on to marketing other things.
Right.
That's a good ratio.
Yeah, that's
7 years after the fact?
Yeah, that's very solid.
That's incredible. I mean, I would have been amazed if the percentage had been 50%.
Yeah.
Instead, it's 75.
Yeah.
It's better than 75. It's like, wow, it's unbelievable.
We're stable.
Apparently more stable than I realized. We're a very stable group, said no one ever about the haunted attraction industry.
Yeah.
That is also a lie. But yeah, we're definitely an industry of slow evolution, not rapid revolution. Mm-hmm. I mean, what would happen if we had repeated this experiment, but with PC World magazine or something in 2010? Or, like WordPress magazine or something like that, or for the internet geeks out there. What would have happened? It would have been we'd be having a very different conversation. We'd be mocking the way things were done.
Yeah.
Yesteryear of 2010.
Yeah, because I'm thinking back to 2010 WordPress, and because I was using it then.
Yes, we all
started using it in 2008.
Yeah.
So we've come a long way. It's gotten a lot better.
It has. So yeah, but I have mixed feelings about that though, about that slow evolution there, because on one hand, not all industries need to rapidly change.
Right.
Not all industries do. I'm pretty sure like scotch makers are doing the same thing in 2017 they were doing in 2010 and probably in 1910 in a lot of ways. You don't evolve some industries that rapidly because what's good is good and any change has to come very, very slowly. But I gotta say, I live in the tech world, man.
Yeah. I'm
used to, MySpace being replaced by Facebook inside a decade,
Right.
I'm used to these big, big titanic shifts. I watched as Google replaced all the other search engines in the universe over the course of just a few years. Mm-hmm. I remember all this. And it's weird for me to think that the haunt industry has remained so stable that a magazine from 2010 is still perfectly useful.
And relevant in 2017.
It's crazy.
It is.
I mean, it is. And especially considering that nearly all of the ads were relevant.
Yeah. Well, and I think part of that's because not a lot of the tech ads are in there. Like I could see today Raspberry Pi being advertised in there.
Yeah.
And things like that.
Well, there were some some
VR.
Companies in there that do design. That one company that does the holistic design.
Right.
And they're still going on and doing a lot of things. But yeah, it's true. We didn't see like Sinister Visions in there, which is the big one for web design for haunted attractions these days.
Right.
And I've gotten to where I can spot a Sinister Vision site at 400 yards.
Yeah. Yeah. What you're saying is they kind of all look the same.
They all look the same, yes. I am saying that. They definitely have some common elements. We'll leave it there. But yeah. I worry a little bit that we're maybe not evolving fast enough, especially considering one of the things that was pointed out in that Grand Haunt tour was that some haunts are getting stale.
Yeah.
And maybe one of the things we can learn from the ScareHouse, and indeed this edition, is that need to constantly evolve and try new things, even if what you have seems to be working fine.
Yeah.
You have to keep pushing the envelope. You have to keep pushing yourself and taking risks.
And looking for what's next.
Yeah. So, that's one of the reasons why I know I've beat up on the mortuary and the reviews for that season, but I have to give them props for trying.
Mm-hmm.
It failed. It was an epic fail. Don't get me wrong. It was the failiest fail to ever fail. But good goddamn, they took the gamble and, they tried something that had not really been tried in that space.
Right.
So I give them kudos for that.
Yeah.
I don't know. But yeah, I guess that's kind of my thought with this is I don't know if we need to be moving at the pace of the tech industry. In fact, I really don't think we do.
No.
But maybe, just maybe, we can find ways to push the envelope a little bit more than we have been in the past decade.
That seems fair.
And I think I'm as guilty of this as anyone, for the record.
Mm-hmm.
I'll take my lumps on this one. I'm not being holier than thou. This has been a realization moment for me too.
Mm-hmm.
Reading that Grand Haunt tour and going, oh crap, it's all still true.
Yeah.
With almost no exception, it's all still true. That stung in the moment,
Yeah.
But anyways, any final thoughts on the magazine? We'll have to do this again if we find any for other editions.
No,
I should have a few dozen, or at least a dozen laying around here somewhere. I have not seen
in a box somewhere.
Probably. I don't know how that one got spared in whatever box they're all in. But anyways, it was a really cool trip down nostalgia lane. I'm really glad to see that most of the companies mentioned in there are still around. I do find it amusing that they were really hyping up those 2 attractions at ScareHouse that ended up closing within 2 years. But regardless, hindsight is 20/20, I suppose.
It is.
Still, it was a very, very cool trip down nostalgia lane, even if it wasn't quite as nostalgic as it could have been. I don't know. But anything else? Final thoughts?
Do you think we need another hard copy magazine out there?
I don't know. I mean, we should really see what's going on in that realm. I haven't actually looked for another one. Mm-hmm. And sometimes that was one of the things I realized as I was reading this, is that for all I know, they could be printing again.
Yeah.
I really haven't the foggiest. Not even the froggiest foggiest.
Ha ha.
Well, on that note, everyone, thank you very much for listening. We are on Twitter and Facebook, both at Haunt Weekly. We're at hauntweekly.com. You can subscribe there, get it into your favorite MP3 player, and gobble it up whenever you so desire. We thank you very much for spending the past hour with you, and until next time, I'm Jonathan.
I'm Crystal.
And this was Haunt Weekly, episode number 78, looking at a back issue of Haunted Attraction Magazine. This is one weird podcast sometimes, but we will see you guys next time.